Hello, my name is Fee, and I have some good news to read to you. As always, if you have any other articles you would like me to consider reading, just post them in the comments. 5 articles this evening. Firstly, the hidden skeleton gatekeeper inside brain cells could help fight Alzheimer's. Posted on Science Daily. With a journal reference, Jinyu Fei, Yuanmin Zheng, Caden LaLonde, Yuan Tao, and Ruobo Zhou. Membrane-associated periodic skeleton regulates major forms of endocytosis in neurons through a signaling-driven positive feedback loop. Second, a new golden age of mathematics may be dawning, thanks to AI and human ingenuity, by Trefor Bazett, on viz.org. With material siphoned from the conversation. Thirdly, Programmable platform enables on-demand design of plant immune receptors against crop pathogens, also on viz.org, by Chinese Academy of Sciences. Publication details: Haocheng et al. Haocheng Zhu et al. Programmable design of synthetic plant immune receptors for pathogen protein recognition in Science. Fourthly, educational mobility drives breakthroughs in innovation, on sciencemag.com, in Science Education. With reference, intergenerational mobility fosters innovation in Europe. With authors Sarah McNamara, Guido Niedhofer, and Patrick Leonard. Lastly, the James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, captures rare glimpse of early black hole growing inside network of young galaxies, by Srijaya Karantha, on phys.org. With publication details, Julia Tozzi et al. Black Thunder reveals a massive filament around a compact AGN at Z, it's not an equal sign, but something, 5.23 on in archive. Now, let's do this. Let's get ready to rumble. Brain cells continually pull material from the fluid around them, including nutrients, signaling molecules, and fragments of their own outer surfaces. This process, called endocytosis, supports learning, memory, and the routine maintenance of neurons. Penn State researchers have now identified a previously unrecognized structure that may control much of this activity. The structure is a lattice located just beneath the surface of neurons and is known as the membrane-associated periodic skeleton, or MPS. A hidden gatekeeper inside neurons. In findings published in Science Advances, the team showed that the MPS acts as a physical gatekeeper for nearly every major type of endocytosis. Built from repeating rings of proteins, The structure was already known to help neurons retain their shape. The new results indicate that it also plays a much more active role by controlling where and when substances enter the cell. For many, many years, we have been trying to understand this molecular mechanism. What kind of machinery will help to facilitate this process? Because it's connected to neurodegenerative diseases, said Ruobo Zhou, assistant professor of chemistry, of biochemistry and molecular biology, and of biomedical engineering at Penn State, and corresponding author on the study. When endocytosis, this nutrient uptake and regulation, goes wrong, then there is a protein aggregation that will build up in the brain, which is the hallmark of neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Zhou helped discover the MPS in 2013 while working as a postdoctoral researcher on a Harvard team. At the time, scientists believed the structure mainly served as a passive internal support system. In the new study, Zhou and colleagues used super-resolution imaging on neurons grown in the laboratory and found that the MPS behaves more like a cellular traffic controller, regulating all major forms of endocytosis. Watching cellular uptake at the nanoscale. The researchers relied on advanced super-resolution microscopy, which can reveal structures at the nanoscale, about 10,000 times smaller than the thickness of a human hair. They studied neurons grown in petri dishes and caused selected proteins to form inside the cells so those proteins could be tracked. The scientists then exposed the neurons to different molecules and observed how the cells absorbed them while the MPS remained intact. They also altered the structure by damaging or protecting specific sections, allowing them to see how neurons responded when the lattice changed. When the MPS was disrupted, the neurons began absorbing material much faster. This indicated that the lattice normally slows the process and prevents excessive uptake. The researchers also discovered that the structure can contribute to its own breakdown. Faster endocytosis weakened the lattice and triggered a positive feedback loop. Increased uptake activated molecular signals that directed proteins inside the neurons to cut apart sections of the skeleton. That opened additional entry points and allowed even more nutrients and proteins to enter. We discovered that this membrane skeleton is actively regulating the nutrient uptake process of neurons, Zhou said. You can think of it as a gatekeeper, guarding this physical barrier to not allow nutrient uptake to happen. When a neuron needs to take in a specific nutrient, this gatekeeper will open the gates and let it in. Zhou explained that this flexibility may allow neurons to increase their activity when they need to respond quickly. However, the same mechanism could be harmful if it is no longer properly controlled. A possible link to Alzheimer's disease. To investigate that possibility, the researchers created cellular experiments that resembled the early stages of Alzheimer's disease. They caused neurons to produce higher levels of amyloid precursor protein, or APP, a key marker associated with the disease. Weakening the MPS caused neurons to take in APP more rapidly. After entering the cells, APP was cut into amyloid B42, a toxic fragment strongly associated with Alzheimer's disease. Neurons with a damaged MPS accumulated increasing amounts of this harmful molecule and displayed more markers of cell death. We created a model which is very much like Alzheimer's disease and found that in some aging neurons or neurons under pathologic conditions, the endocytosis of toxic proteins was enhanced, which caused stressing conditions, ultimately leading to neuron deaths, said Jinyu Fei, a graduate student in the chemistry department in Penn State's Eberly College of Science and lead author on the study. A potential new treatment target. The results suggest that the MPS may act as a protective barrier in neurons by slowing APP uptake and limiting the accumulation of toxic molecules. Because the structure is known to deteriorate during aging and neurodegenerative disease, its breakdown could push neurons into a damaging cycle involving greater amyloid production, further structural weakening, and eventual cell death. The researchers said that protecting or stabilizing this lattice may offer a new way to slow neurodegeneration. We think this could open the door for future therapies, such as a protein target for neurodegenerative disease treatment, they said. Preserving or stabilizing the MPS might offer a way to slow the early, hidden cellular changes that precede Alzheimer's symptoms. Lovely. Now, a new golden age of mathematics may be dawning, thanks to AI and human ingenuity. In May 2026, OpenAI released a new math result that sent shockwaves throughout the world of mathematical research. A major unsolved problem called the unit distance conjecture had just been resolved by generative AI. Since then, there had been a steady drumbeat of new results that either partially or completely leverage artificial intelligence to solve research-level mathematics problems. However, most new math results published in any given month are still generated by humans. So where is this going? How good and how quickly will AI capabilities grow? Will most mathematical research be predominantly artificial intelligence? Or, as some mathematicians suggest, will AI combine with human ingenuity and other computer tools to create a golden age of mathematics? A list of unsolvable problems. One of the most prolific mathematicians of the 20th century was Hungarian Paul Erdos, known for the breadth of his collaborations with mathematicians across many subfields. Throughout his career, he proposed hundreds of unsolved problems that today are known as Erdos problems. This list, pretty sure that's the way to pronounce that. This list is a tempting place to start for any AI company wishing to show it can solve problems in mathematics. Over the decades, human researchers have steadily resolved many of the Erdos problems, but a large number remain unsolved. One was the unit distance problem from the field of geometric graph theory. Humans on the shoulders of AI. This wasn't the first mathematical problem to be solved by AI. It wasn't even the first Erdos problem to be solved by AI, but it was the most significant. The unit distance problem is a prominent one that many researchers have attempted to solve since 1946, when it was proposed. It was predominantly noteworthy that, having read the proof of the unit distance problem by AI, Human researchers managed to adapt the central technique of the proof to solve, only a week later, another significant conjecture called the sum product conjecture. Much as the AI result rested on the shoulders of many mathematicians before it, humans were able to climb one step higher due to advances by AI. A combination of technologies. Computer-based tools have been helping humans with mathematics for as long as there have been computers. These tools have become increasingly sophisticated and might run on the world's largest supercomputers, modeling climate change or pandemics. Even within pure mathematics, preliminary research shows that proof of some theoretical results can grow to petabytes in size, that is equal to 1 million gigabytes. Computational tools aren't the only way computers are aiding humans. How can you be convinced about the validity of an argument too large or technical to be easily verified even by experts? Using a computer language created for proof verification, mathematicians can make extremely precise versions of every component of an argument. Then, the proof verification system checks that every step logically follows from the underlying axioms or starting points of the proof. In a recent preprint paper, mathematicians combined each of these technologies, computational tools, proof verification, and artificial intelligence, together with their own human ingenuity to achieve a new result in the field of math called Ramsey theory. After exhaustive and rather clever computational searches, AI was able to conjecture a general pattern for a particular phenomenon, prove that the pattern did indeed hold, and help the authors convert the argument for proof verification. This combination of technologies led them to believe that we are now entering a golden age of mathematics. Million-dollar math problems. Today, the capabilities of AI are mixed. Some mathematical fields, notably graph theory, have been particularly amenable to AI-based proofs, but others seem quite resistant. For every math problem AI does solve, there are huge numbers of problems that AI has failed to solve when prompted. For the most famous unsolved problems, such as the 6 remaining Millennium Prize problems, where the Clay Mathematics Institute will pay you $1 million if you can solve one of them, the problems seem as completely out of reach for AI as they do for us humans. As to the future, we don't know how far and how fast AI's capabilities will grow. If progress is substantial, what will mathematical research look like for humans in 5 or 10 years? These early examples, where humans built on AI results or leveraged AI along with existing tools to achieve new mathematical heights, could give a glimpse of one possible future. On the flip side, student anxiety about spending years of their lives honing their mathematical skills is understandable. There are natural fears about AI replacing humans in research mathematics. Thankfully, we're not close to that yet. Very lovely. Now, Programmable platform enables on-demand design of plant immune receptors against crop pathogens. Crop production faces threats from plant pathogens. Traditional disease resistance breeding relies heavily on natural plant resistance genes that encode immune receptors adapted to particular pathogens. However, rapidly evolving pathogens frequently overcome these natural defenses, and the limited diversity of naturally occurring immune receptors makes it difficult to develop crops with durable resistance. Now, a team led by Professor Gao, Gao Kaixia at the Institute of Genetics and Developmental Biology, IGDB, of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, has developed a programmable platform for the on-demand design of synthetic plant immune receptors, or SPIRS, SPIRS, that recognize proteins from diverse plant pathogens. The study was published online in Science on July 23rd, 2026. Designing receptors around modular domains. The immune receptors at the focus of this study, intracellular nucleotide binding leucine-rich repeat receptors, or NLRs, mainly detect pathogens through large, highly repetitive leucine, I'm going to say leucine, yeah, leucine-rich repeat domains that are difficult to engineer. To counter this problem, the researchers exploited a distinct class of NLRs that recognize pathogens through compact, modular, integrated decoy, or ID, domains, which can be readily replaced with newly designed pathogen recognition modules. Using AI-assisted protein tools such as AlphaFold 3 and Bindcraft, the researchers designed de novo proteins that specifically bind pathogen proteins. They then integrated these designed proteins into the rice immune receptor PIKM1 by replacing its native ID domain, generating SPIRS with customized recognition specificities. The researchers used this pipeline to design 391 SPIRS, which targeted proteins from a broad range of plant pathogens, including viruses, bacteria, fungi, and mycets. Oh, mycetes. Mycetes. It's interesting. I've never heard of that. I'm even going to look that up. Water molds, a distinct group of fungus-like microorganisms classified under the Omycota. Omycets. Cool. Of these, 71 or 18.2% recognized their intended targets and activated immune responses, demonstrating that AI-assisted de novo protein design can generate functional plant immune receptors. Directed evolution improved weak designs. Many of the remaining designs, however, were either autoactive or inactive, indicating that AI-based design alone was not sufficient. To further improve receptor performance, the researchers turned to Geminivirus, replicon-assisted implanted-directed evolution, or GRAPE, a high-throughput platform they had established previously and used it to optimize the newly designed spurs. This optimization significantly enhanced immune activity and reduced unwanted autoactivation. Transgenic Nicotiana bentham, benthamiana, transgenic Nicotiana benthamiana plants expressing optimized spurs showed effective resistance to tomato brown rugose fruit virus, or TOBRVF, infection, highlighting the potential of the technology for crop improvement. A faster route to crop protection. Unlike resistance breeding that depends on naturally occurring resistance genes, the spur platform enables the customized design of immune receptors that can recognize entirely new pathogen targets. In principle, spurs targeting proteins from emerging pathogens can now be generated within weeks, providing a rapid and versatile strategy for protecting crops against evolving disease threats. This work establishes a framework for programmable plant synthetic immunity in which receptors can be designed, optimized, and deployed on demand. Programmable plant synthetic immunity may become a general strategy for developing next-generation disease-resistant crops and strengthening global food security. Cool. Super cool. Super lovely. Now, educational mobility drives breakthroughs in innovation. A groundbreaking study led by researchers at the University of Zurich and the Leibniz Center for European Economic Research reveals a robust link between intergenerational educational mobility and innovation output across Europe. The findings challenge the long-held belief of a trade-off between social equality and economic dynamism, showing instead that improved educational opportunity fosters not only fairness, but also drives technological advancement. The research team used an extensive new dataset, the Europe IGM Atlas, which combines harmonized microdata from the European Social Survey with regional patent data from the European Patent Office. This dataset provides annual indicators of educational mobility for European regions spanning from 1985 to 2025, allowing unprecedented insight into the relationship between educational background, labor market participation, and innovation over time. Their analysis demonstrates that regions where one's education is less dependent on social backgrounds experience significantly greater innovation. Specifically, higher educational mobility is associated with an average 11% increase in patent applications when cohorts entered the workforce. This suggests that allowing individual ability to dictate educational and career trajectories unleashes latent talent that drives societal progress. Wow. Interestingly, the study also uncovers considerable regional disparities within Europe. Southern and Eastern European areas show persistently low educational mobility and high inequality, reflecting patterns akin to the Great Gatsby curve observed in income research. In contrast, Northern and Central Europe exhibit healthier mobility and more equitable education systems. Even within countries like Germany and France, sharp regional differences underline the uneven landscape of opportunity. One of the more striking implications concerns policy design. The data indicates that regions with lower mobility stand to gain the most from reforms that enhance equitable access to high-quality education. By breaking down barriers tied to social origin, these areas can unlock substantial innovation potential, propelling long-term economic growth and technological development. Professors Patrick Lehnert and Guido Niedhofer emphasize that average education levels alone do not tell the full story. Instead, the fairness of educational opportunities and their distribution crucially influence how effectively talent is employed. As such, investing in educational equity emerges as a strategic innovation policy with measurable returns on both social and economic fronts. This research offers a compelling argument for rethinking education systems to focus not just on raising attainment, but on making pathways accessible regardless of background. In doing so, societies can both unleash hidden innovation capacity and promote a more just social order, reinforcing the symbiotic relationship between equal opportunity and economic performance. With the arrival of the Europe IGM Atlas dataset, researchers and policymakers now have a powerful tool to monitor, understand, and improve educational mobility's role in fostering innovation, opening new avenues to tailor reforms that capitalize on Europe's diverse talent pool. Oh my goodness, talent pools, talent tools. That is funny. You're having a very accurate reading session today. Super lovely. Super fun. Super duper. Amazing. Now, the JWST, James Webb Space Telescope, captures rare glimpse of early black hole growing inside network of young galaxies. Astronomers using the James Webb Space Telescope have captured one of the clearest views yet of how an early supermassive black hole may grow within a network of young galaxies. The compact active galaxy, seen just a billion years after the Big Bang, just a billion years, lies beside a 12,000 parsec long filament containing multiple galaxies that are expected to merge within a few 100 million years. The findings, posted to the arXiv preprint server on July 6th, suggest astronomers may be witnessing a short-lived phase in the evolution of rapidly growing black holes, while also shedding light on how the first massive galaxies assembled in the early universe. Too big for its galaxy. Since the JWST began operating, astronomers have found a population of compact, actively feeding black holes in galaxies from the universe's first billion years. Many of these black holes appear far too massive for their host galaxies, with some appearing 10 to 100 times heavier than expected. This particular black hole, in a galaxy known as GN 77652, is observed at a redshift of 5.23. It weighs about 11 million solar masses, while its host galaxy contains only around 170 million solar masses worth of stars, placing it at roughly 300 times the mass expected from a relation seen between black holes and their galaxies in the nearby universe. Crowded home. Led by Giulia Tozzi of the Max Planck Institute for Extraterrestrial Physics, the team used JWST's NIRSpec integral field spectrogram as part of the Black Thunder program, alongside Deep NIRCam NIRCam imaging to map the region around GN 77652 in detail. What they found was a bustling environment containing 4 additional galaxy-sized clumps of gas and stars, labeled B, C, D, and E, all sitting at essentially the same redshift. These clumps were spread across the filament at distances of roughly 2.4 to 11.6 kiloparsecs from GN 77652. Interestingly, GN 77652 is not the most massive galaxy in the group. Sources B and D are each 10 times heavier in stars. Gas across the whole structure appears to converge towards source B, near the center of the complex, hinting that the entire system may eventually merge into one. The 5 sources differ by up to an order of magnitude in stellar mass, star formation rate, and chemical enrichment, suggesting each component is at a different stage of evolution. GN 77652 itself shows a shallow, resolved velocity gradient consistent with a small rotating gas disk. The team explains in the paper that this unique feature, confirmed in only a handful of these compact black hole hosts so far, is consistent with dominant gravity driving, the same pattern seen in normal star-forming galaxies at these redshifts, suggesting GN 77652 behaves more like a settled galaxy than a violently disturbed one. Signs of a twin. The most striking result comes from source B, sitting just 2.4 kiloparsecs in projection from GN 77652. The diagnostic emission line ratios there point to gas being ionized by something more energetic than starlight alone. To test whether this ionization could simply be light from GN 77652 reaching over and lighting up B's gas, the light calculated how much ionizing radiation would be required. They found the incident luminosity needed was more than 2 orders of magnitude higher than what GN 77652's black hole could plausibly supply, ruling out GN 77652 as the source and pointing to a second distinct black hole in B. If confirmed, this would be one of the very few known dual black hole pairs at such a close separation this early in the universe's history. The team also tested whether GN 77652's black hole could have formed through direct collapse, a process in which a dense cloud of gas collapses directly into a black hole seed, skipping the intermediate step of forming stars first. Measuring the radiation field produced by the surrounding filament, they found it falls just short of the intensity such a process would require. The researchers note that stronger radiation may have been present at earlier times, or that other explanations remain viable, including the possibility that GN 77652's black hole is a primordial black hole. Whoa. Um, Primordial to the galaxy. It's like a primordial black hole to the universe. Or one flung out of a neighboring galaxy through gravitational interactions. Amazing. A temporary phase. Based on the separations and masses involved, the team calculates the whole cluster of galaxies should merge into one within roughly 150 to 440 million years. Modeling how the merged system's black hole and stellar mass might grow over that time, they find the ratio between the two would settle much closer to what's seen in typical galaxies today. The team concludes that GN 77652's compact, overmassive appearance likely represents a short-lived evolutionary phase, consistent with the broader trend of such objects becoming rarer at lower redshifts as the universe ages. The team says follow-up JWST spectroscopy targeting more emission lines at higher resolution will be needed to confirm the second black hole in source B and to better track how the system evolves over cosmic time. Incredible. Astronomical. Super lovely. And very informative. Yeah, incredible. So, as always, I'm Beam, and I haven't decided on any sort of conclusion or standardized farewell. But until next time.